This is QuickEdge's new product, QuickEdge. So you might know us from the permanent formwork system. We do an insulation system that is the formwork. This particular product you use inside traditional formwork, so it's essentially just sidewall insulation. What we've got over here is the QuickEdge 90mm framing option, which is called QuickEdge Taper. Essentially designed for 90mm framing, dense insulation at the back with a soft insulation at the front, suitable for standard hold down fixings. A really nice product. Then you've got QuickEdge Ultra, which essentially all it is a taper with a cap that has been glued in our factory. So it comes like this. That's designed for 140mm framing and above, obviously because the hold down bolts, it impedes the hold down bolts. Obviously you can use this if you're offsetting your foundation line with your frames, but your architect will deal with that. But that's QuickEdge Ultra, QuickEdge Taper, and actually over here we do QuickEdge for brick rebate, which is essentially just a small piece that goes directly underneath your guys' traditional rebates that you form. So what we've done here is we've mocked up a foundation. Essentially what we've done is some still imagery showing you a step-by-step process of how it goes together, so that will be available where these videos are on our training manual library. Also, whenever we send out an order, there'll be just a basically page copy of some basic pictures to show you how it goes together. It's much the same as everything else. The way it works is it's got internal, external corners for the joiners, and then we've got basically HX and joiner for all the joins. So essentially that does the internal and external. Now the way it works is you work your way around the formwork, and then we just TEX screw it in with 75mm TEX screws straight through the formwork into the top of the product. Now you have to, what we're trying to aim for here, because cladding, when the building's been built, the cladding comes down 50mm past the outside of the slab. So essentially we're coming down 30mm from the top of the boxing to where the screw is. So that screw hole ends up underneath the cladding. You can't see it, that's what you're aiming for. Minimal screws. Each full run I've only got 3 screws, so there's 1, 2, 3 holding that. This one little offcut here, there's actually no screws in that. And a couple of screws in the smaller bits moving around. So essentially you just need enough to hold it in. Essentially you want to be tight to your formwork. The way that we do it when we do our internal corners, essentially we slide these on first, like so. Now I use little TEX screws. I just use one, we supply these with a system, we use one little TEX screw that we just use the drill. Okay, so I put one screw in it. The reason why I put one screw in it is because when I sit that in and I push the other bit into it, this doesn't move. So every joint and corner just has one screw to lock it in, so that when you push the next board into it, it doesn't move. So it's a good little tip. And then you just basically follow around your formwork like so. Now the last piece of the puzzle is when it's all in. Is we've got what we call a mechanical fixing, which essentially is just a TEX screw. Now in the back of the product, every length is 2/430 long. Now in the back of it, if you look carefully, there's these holes, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So essentially I put the screw in these holes, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now essentially you're going to have to be careful. That's why I have my TEX screw, my drill on low. Okay, so the purpose of these screws is there's a hole just in the insulation only, but the purpose for this TEX screw is to go through the insulation and 10mm into this foam board. Now the foam board is 16mm thick, but you're just trying to bite into it. The purpose for that is when you pour the concrete is designed to lock around that TEX screw and to lock it into the slab. Now that's not the only locking point that locks it into the slab once the slab goes off. We've also purposely got our logos everywhere, but the main purpose of the logos, hexagons, the QuickEdge, is to give it a bit of a texture, and what happens is the concrete, when it's wet, it bites into that and it also locks in. But then we sort of back that up with a mechanical fixing that goes through this into the foam board that locks both those products into the slab. So essentially we basically fill the foam board like I can, and then the purpose is screw it in, and I'm keeping that head of the screw 10mm off the insulation, okay? So obviously you don't want to go too fast, nice and just careful. if you went all the way to that head, went all the way to the insulation, essentially you're going to pop out the other side. So that's not what you want to do. Just take your time. It's a pretty basic thing. If you did happen to go all the way through, just back the screw off to that 10 mils. Obviously, you're going to see that on the other side. You really want to eliminate doing that. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I've got one here. If you don't have a screw hole, right, so you've got your off-cut here, if you don't have a screw hole, just make sure you've got one screw in each of your bits at least, okay, and then all your little off-cuts. Here I've got 3 screws, 1, 2, 3, that's sufficient. And all the little wing walls here, we've got 3 screws. Another little piece down here, I've got a singular screw. But essentially, that's QuickEdge. What I'll do is I'm going to remove some of this and we'll take you guys through our brick rebate, the rebate version. Essentially, it's no different than this. All it is a bit smaller, as I showed you before, and it goes underneath your rebate. So when you form your rebate up, that will sit underneath it. So essentially, 100 mils down, that will be that product. Now, probably a good way to talk about this is the way I would do this is the polythemes are lapped up behind the product. So the polytheme is between your formwork and the product, and we cut it 50 mils up, and then we put the product on that. And then obviously I'm inside here, but if I was on site, I would have heightened my boxing first, and then I'd bring the product flush to the formwork. Now, I guess because we are one of the only rigid insulation products on the market, you could potentially set your formwork up and then you could heighten this with a laser. I think there'd probably be a bit more of a pain in the arse than to heighten your formwork and do that, but essentially this could stick up 10, 15, 20 mils above your formwork and it will still work because it's rigid. So you kind of got scope. Like I said, it's a very basic system. Follow the picture instructions. It'll take you through step by step the joiners, but just remember one screw in every joiner, corner, etc. That will stop it from moving around. There's no glue anywhere in the system. Obviously, on every corner we take a 20 mil strip off so that it can butt into itself. Little strips I'm always left over. I end up gluing these strips on any of these external corners here. Obviously the insulations doesn't go right up the corner. I just put a bit of glue, chuck that on there, tarts it up. Good way to get rid of that stuff. But essentially that's QuickEdge. It's an awesome product. It's really designed for those contractors that don't want to let go of that formwork. If you are sick of your formwork, check out QuickEdge.